In this week's build roundup, we're going to be breaking down a storage rack, a deck shade, a voiceover booth, a technique for creating archways, and a lighting solution for an art gallery. All kinds of great builds. As always, let's jump right in and check them out. First up is this hockey gear rack. This comes from MY. This is fantastic, and this is being used for hockey gear, but you could use this for all kinds of stuff. You could use the same design and create a storage rack in your pantry, in your garage, in your shed, all kinds of great uses. But this particular one is being used for hockey gear, and it's in a mud room. And MY said they built it basically just to hang, kids get back from hockey practice, sweaty gear, and so they use it to hang up the gear and then also store the different things like the skates there. And there's some storage solutions or, some containers down there holding stuff, and it looks like just some other miscellaneous things being stored here. And it's a really simple kind of design for this that anybody could really make using just a couple of connectors. Actually, I think really just one connector type. Basically, we can't see that fourth vertical back there, but this is just a big rectangle, and it basically just has shelves spaced out based on the different things that are hanging here. And this is a cool thing about customizing, storage solutions like this, is you can customize the dimensions to make it fit exactly what you're putting on it and the space that it's in. He said it was a tight corner, couldn't really find any prefabricated shelves that would fit in there nicely, so that's why he custom made it. And really, he's only using one connector type here, and it's the 90-degree connectors, which allow you to basically have the vertical piece of conduit that runs through the middle of the connector, and then there's two pieces that come out at this 90-degree angle, one on each side, and those two pieces terminate in the connector. And if you look closely, you'll see that he used those same 90-degree connectors for the shelves all the way around in all these different corners and even down here on the bottom as well. So really the same design all the way around to make this, and it's just that one connector type to make this entire shelf unit. So you just need four 90-degree connectors per shelf. In this case, he's got 3 shelves, so he's got 12 total 90-degree connectors, and then you just need those vertical uprights that you can customize the dimension, and then he's got the the other pipes that run from the front to the back and the side to side there that make up the shelves. And then it looks like he put some wire shelves on top of the pipes, which is a good idea there. And it looks like those just sit on the frame. And if you look closely here, I think I saw, it looks like the shelves are the wire shelves is kind of bent around the edge or kind of the side pipe there. It looks like it kind of bends over the edge and goes down. So it looks like he is using those wire shelves. Not exactly sure where he got those. You could get some hardware cloth and cut that. You could get some different things and make shelves there. And I think I just saw, at least down here on this bottom shelf, probably a good idea if he's got this storage container down here. Looks like there's also a T connector grabbing onto this, which basically just joins 2 pieces of conduit together. You got the one that runs through the top of the connector and then one that terminates in the bottom. And I imagine that's running from front to the back just to add some support. Like I said, if you've got this storage container here, that's probably a good idea because that's going to be heavy. And, just depending on the thickness of the wire material that you use there, could potentially, bend the wire and kind of go through the shelf. So you don't really want to do that. So adding some supports there is smart. I think that's the only shelf I see, actually. No, it looks like he did that up here as well. So it looks like there's T connectors added here in the middle, which basically just allows them to run that support pipe from the front to the back pretty simply. So 12 total 90-degree connectors, and then 2, 4, 6 T connectors per shelf just to add some support there. Really cool. Like I said, you could use this for all kinds of different stuff, but it looks like it's working out great for hockey gear in this particular scenario. So really, thanks so much for sharing this, MY. Love seeing it. Next up is a deck shade, and this was shared by Ray. We can see here it is without the shade in place, and then we can see here it is with the shade cloth attached to the framework. And this is very cool. It looks like we can see here, I think this is a shed deck that he wanted to shade. And basically we can see, it looks like there's 3 verticals in the front we saw in the other picture. And the verticals just go down, and I think we can see, I guess we can't see in this particular photo, but it looks like there was a kind of a rock or a piece of cement or something that these are going down and grabbing onto. And it looks like he had adjustable angle flanges on the bottom of these verticals. And I don't know if those were bolted to the little cement slab there or if they're just resting on top of it. Not entirely sure, but you could bolt through the cement slab, using certain bolts made specifically for concrete, and just do that through the holes in the adjustable angle flange. But the verticals go up, and then very similarly to that last build we saw, there's 90-degree connectors in the corners because this is making a 3-way corner connection. You got the one piece that's coming out or going up through the middle, and you got the 2 other pieces that come out of the side. I can't really see that other one, but it's coming out and terminates there. And then so using 90-degree connectors in the corners on the front to make this 3-way corner connection. Then it looks like in the middle is using some of the 180-degree connectors, which is good, and that allows basically the piece of conduit that runs from the front to the back to go continuously through the connector. And then he's got the 2 pieces coming out of the side of the 180, and those are similar to the 90 where they terminate in the connector and then come out each side and go and continue to the next connector, which again is another 180, and basically just using those to add supports all the way down. And then on the sides, he's using the T connector that we saw on that other build just now, where he's got the piece of conduit running continuously through the top of the connector, and then the other piece is coming out and then terminates inside of the bottom of the T connector. So a few 180s and T connectors there. And then back here, it looks like more T connectors. Anytime you're making a 2-way corner connection, the T connector is going to work the best. And I'd imagine that's what he's using there, because there's 2 pieces of conduit coming together to create an elbow. And then those support pipes that he has running from the front to the back, those are also going to be grabbing onto the back support pipe using another T connector, because again, it's just that one continuous piece from one side to the other, and then the piece that terminates in the bottom of the T and comes out. So using T connectors there as well. And then we can see it looks like he's using blocks secured to the shed, and then he's using the conduit 2-hole straps, which if you haven't seen those, it's a common electrical item you can get really inexpensive at Lowe's and Home Depot. We also sell them on the website. They basically just have tabs, and then they wrap around the conduit, and then you basically just drill it already has pre-drilled holes in the tabs, and you just add a screw through the tab into whatever material you've got. In this particular case, he's using blocks to kind of space the frame against the house. And you can see he's got those blocks going all the way down, and he's using that 2-hole strap method to secure those in place there. And that's really cool, and that's pretty much the gist of the frame. Go back to this other photo. We can see some more on the front, actually, where he did some bracing. And it looks like he's using a 4-way connector in the middle here, which is basically kind of similar to the 180, where he's got the vertical support coming up through the middle. He's got the 2 pieces that come out and terminate inside of the connector, but the 4-way has an additional pipe where there's a piece that terminates in the front and comes out, and that's one of the ones we have that go to the front to the back to support. So that's cool. He's using the 4-way connector there in the middle. And then we can also see some angled bracing. It looks like, I would say those are adjustable angle connectors just because it doesn't look like they're even 45 degrees. So I think adjustable angle connectors, which function pretty much the same as the T connector, where a piece of conduit runs through the top half of the connector, and then you've got a piece of conduit that terminates in the bottom half of the connector. And so he's got those secured. It looks like the same thing here. He's using adjustable angle connectors to add more angle bracing, just to add some support to this. And then last but not least, he's got the sunshade secured to the frame. Looks like he's just using zip ties, if I'm not mistaken. Looks like that's what that is, just securing the sunshade to the frame, just a zip tie going through the grommet, wrapped around and secured to the framework. Nice and simple, and a really great shade for this shed. Really cool. Thanks so much, Ray, for sharing this. We love seeing it. Next up is a voiceover booth. This was shared by JK. This is really cool and very similar to the last builds we've seen. It's just another rectangle, and probably can guess which connector is used for this. This is the 90-degree connector in the corners. So it looks like there's 4 verticals, just your standard box shape. And so there's the 4th one here. And then again, we've got the 90-degree connectors in the corners, making that 3-way connection. And I imagine we can't see those other 2, but I almost guarantee that's what's being used there. And then down here, I think there's 90s used in those to make that corner connection here. But then I think it's T connectors grabbing on because it's just 2 pieces of conduit joining together. And that keeps them from having to step over this bar here. There's no bar there, so he can get in and out easily and not have to worry about tripping over that. So I would imagine that's T connectors. And then we can see T connectors up here to grab on and add a support pipe from the front to the back. And then I would imagine another T connector in the middle there on the opposite side just to complete that connection and pipe. And we don't see if there's any other bracing or anything because we can't see because he's using some, looks like I've gotten some moving blankets from Harbor Freight, and it looks like those are the moving blankets he has. Actually, those have grommets in them, maybe a little bit more premium, so I'm not sure where he got those from. But got some blankets on there, which will work to help kind of create this audio booth that he's after. Looks like there's some shelves in here. I don't know if the shelves are attached to the frame of the booth. I don't think so. I think that's the wire shelves he already had. Oh yeah, you can see those are attached to the wall. This wire shelves, your basic wire shelves attached to the wall. Looks like he's got the audio equipment attached to those shelves. So I think that's pretty much it for this audio booth. Just a nice simple cube, not a lot of connectors, not a lot of pipe, and then those inexpensive moving blankets is what I think those are. So you get a pretty inexpensive audio booth and really cool build. If you guys want to see a similar audio booth and a tutorial for how to put one together, I'll link one down below from a guy that made one and did a full video a while back. But really cool. Thanks so much for sharing this, JK. We love seeing it. Next up is an archway project from Tim, and I think he said he's going to keep going and adding more of these and then adding a cover on top, but he wanted to share this photo and explain how he made the arches, which is cool. And I think it's a great technique for doing arches, whether you're doing a hoop house or some kind of frost protection for your garden, or if you're making a greenhouse, all kinds of different uses for this. I think he's using it for Halloween props, but this is a really good technique. And what this is one continuous arch up here. And he said he just used the bender from Lowe's and Home Depot, and he picked up the Klein bender after our video on the little tool that comes with that to make it easier to get the angles right. And then I think he used our calculator. I'll put a link down below and link the tutorial down below, but I made a calculator so you could figure out the measurements and the bends and everything you guys need to do large radius incremental bends like this. And you can check that out. But basically he did one continuous arch. And then what I think is really smart and makes a lot of sense for projects is to, instead of trying to get the bend perfectly right or the archway and then leaving enough length on the end, sometimes you're not even able to based on the dimensions. But if you do try to leave enough length on the end, sometimes you can get that wrong, and then you're kind of wasting pipe. So instead of doing that, you could just kind of cut off there. And then he said he drove the verticals into the ground and then connected those together. If you look closely, you can see he's using the maker pipe coupling, which is designed to join two pieces of EMT conduit together. And so he's using the coupling, and I think that's a really smart technique. I even recommend going a step further if you're having trouble making arches, where you just bend 2 half arches and then join them together with a coupling up there. If you're having trouble bending arches, that's a good way to do that, and kind of saves you from wasting a bunch of conduit. You can just make that kind of, I guess that'd be a quarter arch, and then you can join that together with the coupling. But I think he did all one piece, which is cool. And if you're able to do that, then by all means, go ahead. And one thing that he also recommended, if you're getting the bender from Lowe's or Home Depot, the handle is made so if you overbend, you can kind of bend it backwards. And he said 2 out of the 3, I think, I'm not sure actually if it was 2 out of 3. He said a couple of the ones he tried that were in stock, the 3/4 inch conduit wouldn't actually fit in there because it was bent. So he said to check that out before you buy them. And I've never ran into that issue, but thought it was cool that he shared that tip, because you don't want to get home and find out that it doesn't work for the conduit if you need to use that handle feature for that. So thanks so much for sharing that tip, Tim, and thanks so much for sharing this archway. So he's going to keep doing more and then add some plastic over top of it. So really cool build. And I think it's going to be a really cool build. This is a cool archway so far and a cool progress update. So thanks so much, Tim, for sharing this. Great to see. Our last build this week is a really cool lighting and art display rack, and this comes from Joel. They have a beautiful, it looks like a shop, but also features art on the walls. Well, actually, it's not on the walls. It's being hung from the lighting build that they did here, which is really cool. And this was up, they said, for 6 years. I think they got these back when we sold black connectors, because we can see here that it looks like they have black frameworks holding up the lights and the artwork. And then I would imagine that's black shrink wrap on the EMT conduit. Maybe not, but I'm pretty sure it is. If not, then it's probably spray painted or painted just in general. But really cool. And basically they just made long ladders using the maker pipe T connectors, the only connector they used throughout. So basically just in the corners there to make that elbow connection between the two pieces of conduit. And then we can see that those horizontal pieces just run all the way down. And then basically every few feet, they just added T connectors and some pieces of conduit going between them. They said it basically just made a giant ladder pretty much. So just did that same design all the way down and created these ladder frameworks. And then we can see here, if we look closely, we can see there's kind of that design with the two T connectors and the pieces going back and forth. Then they attach some of these spotlights to the frame, and those are pointed directly at the artwork to give them some specific lighting. They said this building was built in 1915, and it has 14-foot ceilings, so this lighting was super necessary to be able to highlight the artwork. And then we can see the lights are attached that way. I would imagine they just use zip ties or some different things to kind of compact and organize the different cables and things that are running to the lights and just pull those tight to the framework. We can see here they said they did some eye hooks in the wall and then some cable going to the front of the ladder and holding those in place. We can't see how those are hooked onto the conduit framework, but we did a video a while back that I'll link down below that you can check out on different ways that you can attach cabling and wires to builds. But I would imagine they probably just maybe drilled through the conduit and added an eye hook, if I had to guess. Not entirely sure. Don't really see a close-up of that, but like I said, there's some different ways in that video that I'll link down below that you can check out. That's pretty much it. It's pretty simple for that framework and for the lighting. And then we can see they also added some S-hooks to the framework with, they said, some garden chain going down and attaching to the different pieces of art and the different frames, and that's how the artwork is hanging up as well. So they kind of achieved both. They didn't have to, drill holes in the wall or use command strips or anything like that. They could actually just secure the artwork to the, or kind of hang it from the ladder lighting system that they build, and then also at the same time achieve the spotlights and lighting for displaying the artwork in a nice way. And this is just a beautiful storefront and a beautiful art gallery and just a really awesome project. I think they said they took this all down and have another project that they're doing where they're going to be making some other things for their next kind of storefront or gallery. So really cool. Really love to see it. Thanks so much for sharing this, and thanks to everybody for posting your builds. As always, we love seeing them. They'll be linked down below if you want to see any of them in more detail. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, leave a like and consider subscribing. Thanks so much, and we'll see you in the next video.